Hi everyone, Jesse here with etrailer. Today we'll be taking a look at and I'll show you how to install the Roadmaster diode kit for flat-toed vehicles on our 2025 Ford F-150. There's going to be 5 major components to look into when setting up your vehicle to be flat-toed, starting with our base plate. That's going to be the structural mounting point for which everything connects to, and then your tow bar. That's going to be the physical link between both towed vehicle and motorhome. Then we have our braking system, which will keep you safe and legal in all 50 states. And what it does is allows you to not only rely on the brakes of the motorhome to come to a stop, but also use the towed vehicle's brakes. Then we have our diode wiring. That's going to keep you safe out there by sending a signal from the taillights on the motorhome to the taillights on the towed vehicles to make those function properly. And last, we have our safety cables. These are here in case of a catastrophic disconnect. If anything were to fail that we set up today, these will be here to hold everything together so you can come to a safe stop. The diodes themselves are actually mounted behind our taillight here, so you'll get a better look at them once we get to the installation portion of the video. But essentially they're there to protect your factory wiring from anything that can damage it, for example back feeds or anything else. Our motorhome will send the signal to those taillights through an umbilical cable such as this and into a 6-pole. The 6-pole did not come with this kit, however, we have many options available here at etrailer that you can do. But essentially with the installation process, you're going to run wires from here all the way to where your tail lights are. Really, that's about all there is to it. It's just one of those things that you have to have if you plan on flat towing your vehicle in order to stay safe and legal out there. If you have any questions or concerns about this diode kit or anything else we offer here at etrailer, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be happy to get you pointed in the right direction. As for the installation, you do have to run wires from the front to the back of the vehicle, as I said, and you're most likely installing other flat tow components at the same time. So I'd understand if it's not something that you're looking to do yourself. Check out our dealer locator. You can find someone local to you that would be happy to get that set up for you. If you are looking to see how this gets installed, then follow along and I'll walk you through the process. To begin our installation, you'll want to find out where you're going to be mounting our 6-pole. Our bracket is actually on our bumper, which is off of our car right now, but I know it's going to end up right around here. So I just taped it up with some slack. And from there, we need to route our wires into the engine bay. And once we get into the engine bay, I'm going to make our ground connection. So one thing I like to do is leave a loop just in case your braking system involves tying into your diodes. It's going to make it a lot easier. And what I'll do is cut out our white wire and separate it just a bit on the one end. Then I'll strip it back and attach a ring terminal and use this factory ground right here. So strip it back and crimp on your ring terminal. That's an 8mm bolt. Undo that. I'll take that bolt out and just slip our ring terminal over it. And since I have a big ring terminal, I'm actually going to sneak it under our factory ground. Then I'll tighten that down. And then with the extra white wire that I have, I'm going to separate that and peel it all off. And we'll use that as our jumper from the driver's side taillight to the passenger side taillight. With our remaining 3 wires, we need to route those back to our taillights. So I just sent it down from our engine bay to right here. And basically from here on out, I tucked it inside the frame. Kind of a tedious process. I just used a piece of airline tubing and routed it through a couple holes at a time. But it follows our frame all the way back to past our axle here. And at our axle, it comes out that hole. And once we get here, I did have to extend our wires out. So I'll show you with my green wire here. I had some extra wire laying around, so I extended it out because we can't reach our taillights with the wiring that they gave us. And then I used the heat shrink butt connector for that. But from there, you want to separate your green wire from your yellow and brown. Your yellow and brown wires will go over to the driver's side taillight, and that green wire is going to go to our passenger side. Now we need to remove our taillights. So there's two 8mm screws on the inside of our tailgate here. Remove those. And from there, our taillight's just held in by some clips, so we'll just carefully work that out. Just pop it off. And then we'll turn our taillight over. We have a couple plugs to undo. Just push in the pin and pull out. And then we'll set our taillight aside. Now what we need to do is peel back some of this sheathing on these wires and test everything and find our brake signal and our taillight signal. I already went ahead and did that. I just turned the taillights on and then used my test light on this end and identified which wire that was for. And our taillight signal is going to be the green and orange wire here, while our brake signal is the white and green. So what we'll do is cut these pretty far back because we want to be able to tuck our diodes back. And then we'll strip both ends. And these wires are pretty thin, so I'll strip quite a lot. And what I'll do is double up, so I'll fold the wire over itself and twist it. But we'll strip back all of our wires, and then I'll show you how to do the spade connector connection. So as I said, I just doubled our wire over itself to make it a little thicker. Then we'll take our blue spade terminal, crimp that down nice and tight, and anytime we make a connection, I always like to give it a tug, make sure that it's going to stay there. So I'll continue to do that with the rest of our factory wires. So for our brake and turn signal, we just routed our yellow wire up and crimped a spade terminal onto it and plugged in that and our factory white and green wire into the in. And then the other end of that factory wire, the one closest to the plug, goes into the out. Then with our taillight signal, it's a little bit different. As I said, we were going to use that white wire that we cut off earlier as a jumper. So what we'll do is just twist those two together. Then use our yellow spade terminal. It's a little larger diameter. And crimp that on. And then we can connect that diode. So these two wires are going to go into one of the in posts, and then that factory wire coming off the wiring also goes into the inside. Sometimes these terminals are made a little close together. Get those two in, and then the end closest to our plug, just like before, goes into the out. On the passenger side, it's the same concept, but our wire colors did change. So our white wire is our jumper, that's our taillight signal. That matches up with the brown and yellow striped wire in our factory wiring. Then the green wire is our right turn / brake, and that matches up with the purple and violet wire in our factory wiring. So now what I like to do is just loosely plug in our taillight and button it up so that we can test everything, and then we'll come back and clean everything up once we know it's all working. At the front of the vehicle, we'll need to connect our 6-pole here, and these connections are very simple to make. You'll just strip back the ends of the wires, and you'll have to back off the Phillips head screw there. Make sure you twist your wires to get a good connection. And back it off just enough so you can fit the wires in. You don't want to take those screws all the way out. But as you can see, I'm doing the yellow wire right now, which is our left turn. So that's going to be labeled LT on our plug. Our white wire is our ground, that's going to be GD. Brown is our tail light, that's labeled TM. and then green is our right turn, that's labeled RT. Now we're hooked up to our test box to run through our lights. You could hook up to your motorhome if you need to test everything. We just want to make sure everything's working before we hit the road. I'll run through our lights. This will be our tail lights or our daytime running lights. That's our left turn, brake lights, and our right turn. Now that we've tested our diodes, we know they're working properly. I just recommend filling all your connections with some silicone and then backfilling it. But other than that, that's going to do it for our look at and installation of the Roadmaster diode kit on our 2025 Ford F-150.